Meantime, Jamie Dimon speaking exclusively to our own Leslie Picker earlier today about tariffs, the Fed, stablecoins, and much more. She joined us now to break down everything we learned from the JPMorgan CEO. Leslie.
Hey, Mel. Yeah, we covered a lot of ground during our interview here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I asked Dimon about President Trump's latest attacks on Fed Chair Powell.
I think Jay Powell is a professional. I think independence is important. I think actually independence keeps interest rates lower if you actually look through the history of interest rates a little bit. And just lowering short-term rates doesn't necessarily have the effect you want on 10-year rates. And we should be a little cautious. The president gets a chance to pick a new Fed chair in like 8 months from now. So I think they're kind of doing the right thing.
Dimon added that given the macro environment, he thinks the Fed will cut rates soon.
The economy's it's been chugging along. We've been in that soft landing now for 4 or 5 years. Inflation still hasn't hit 2%. It's 2.5 or 2.7, however you look at it. And I think, if inflation comes down, the economy continues to do well, they'll probably reduce rates shortly.
And on the cusp of the tariff deadline, Dimon said they're, quote, more moderate and thoughtful and more carefully done. He said people can deal with 15% tariffs. Mel?
Did he talk about when he's going to step down, Leslie?
He didn't. He always, talks about it's going to be a couple more years. It's going to be a couple more years. We have a great bench. It's up to the board. So we didn't talk about succession in this interview, but it's something that is always top of mind.
Of course, I watched the whole thing twice. Leslie, excellent job. He did talk about how positive he is on regulation, sort of helping banks and many other companies. He seemed rather pumped up on that. Is that your take?
That was my take. Based on the conversation we had, I felt like he saw two really big unlocks for global growth, in particular growth in the United States. Number one, it's obviously AI. It's something we've been talking a lot about. And I asked him whether he thought AI would be a booster of growth or whether it would be a detractor. And he said, yes, people will lose their jobs, but he thinks it's going to be ultimately beneficial for productivity and efficiency gains. And then the second one was what you mentioned, this idea of reforming regulation and how much growth you can kind of generate just by removing some of the friction and processes related to permitting and other things that has just kind of held a lot of companies back. And so those I saw from that interview were kind of the two unlocks that he thinks will drive growth higher.